Today was more of the same as it has been the past few workouts, doing front squats and the deadlift variation. Really nothing much else beyond that. Front squats got up to 205, and it's still feeling heavy, but it's still feeling doable. The last set I think took a little bit out of me, but I was able to work my way through the first 4 sets pretty easily. And this one in particular, I noticed that I have a tendency to dip a little bit forward and put the weight on my toes just a little bit. And I think that's part of what's damaging or not damaging, but causing my difficulties with the front squat, because it's shifting the weight and making me use more muscle than I have to do the lift. And so I really focused from that point onward on making sure that I had, everything on the center of my foot, and was lifting it appropriately, and I got a lot of glute and core activation as a result of doing that. But it really worked out. It was a very productive workout for me. Managed to stick to 2 minutes of rest time between every single set, which is ideal for me, at least with squats, because it doesn't feel like I'm resting too long or too little, and I'm able to get in just pretty solid sets every single time. I'm still pretty adamant that 225 is probably the max for me. We'll see if it is the max just for a single set, or if I'll be able to do a 5x5 with it. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out as I get closer and closer. But I don't know. This is having really nice effects on me, at least with my squats. These are, I mentioned this time and time again, but my squatting is getting more and more upright with every session that I do these. And especially like right here in this set, I'm fairly upright. That was a rep right there where I noticed I was dunking. That one as well. And I think in the 5th rep right here, yeah, a little bit of a dunk forward. So as I say, I feel like I can be more upright. And then all those were a little bit leaned over. But that's something I've noticed more, and I kind of figured out what's causing it. I think the bars maybe being held a little too low whenever I'm racking the bar in the front rack, and it's causing the weight to slide forward, and I'm relying on the toes to squat the weight more than I am like the middle of my foot. But overall, like it's moving. Like, it's not like any of the individual reps are grinding out or look super difficult. It's just the weight itself is starting to feel a little heavy. But I feel like I'm fairly confident that I can do the 225. So we'll just kind of see when I get there. So I ended up deciding to go with the axle bar deadlifts, just to kind of do some stiff bar deadlifting and practice my grip. Hit the jerk blocks right there. That was cool. I wanted to record my warm-up set so I could see how I was pulling the axle bar, just because while it is a deadlift and a deadlift variation, it's a little bit different because of the leverage, the fact that there's no whip in the bar, so it's going to change your natural leverage with that. Additionally, I pull these mixed grip as opposed to conventional, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing that correctly. I was getting like a massive bicep pump by the end of the 3rd set of these in my left hand, so I had to switch over to having leftover right under to be able to finish everything out. And honestly, it was really interesting because I feel like I almost exclusively do right over left under whenever I do mixed grip, and my the leverage felt significantly different whenever I changed hands. And you might see that whenever I actually get to that set. So we'll see once I get there. But at least for now with this first set, nice and strong on the hips. Good, synchronized lift right there. There's nothing really being sequenced. The back's flat. There's not any rounding. So those are pretty good. And they felt really good. I wasn't sure what weight would be appropriate, so I went with 250. I was kind of estimating around about 80% of my max 5x5 with a regular deadlift bar. And it felt really nice. It wasn't anything too heavy, but it wasn't too light to where I wasn't going to get any work out of it whatsoever. I did definitely, by the end, start feeling work in my glutes and my hamstrings from this. The glutes could also be a consequence of doing the front squat, which I've found to have pretty good activation on that as time's gone on. So these have just been, or these were something I just kind of do periodically. And maybe I'll start incorporating it more because it is a pretty good grip exercise and it forces you to work on grip with lower weight. So it's like you're using more grip strength to do a lighter weight, and it basically makes you grip harder. So it increases your grip strength overall doing that. And you can see me switch over hands, and you can see me kind of pull for a little bit, and I get a little like weirded out pulling. I necessarily didn't show it in my face, but the leverage was just so much different having the right hand under. It really caught me off guard. And so I said, hey, I'll do these 2 sets. And depending on how I feel, once I get the left hand some rest, I might try to pull a couple singles because I haven't done axle bar singles in quite some time. So this last set right here, I pulled fairly easily, to be honest, and really focused on getting proper activation. I could probably stand to get my hips a little bit lower, but I was really focusing on making sure that the hips were fully activated whenever I was doing these. So it's not like I had bad form or technique at all. Just a little bit more refined. Did a 315 single. I attempted to see if I could pull it double overhand, and that was not going to happen. So you see me try it real quick. That's nope. So I switched and just pull it up real quick. Fairly easy weight right there, so nothing too big to worry about. Then I do 360, which is pretty much right in line with my 1 rep max. I've done with this in the past, so 365 is my max. And this shot up super easy. I probably could have done more than 360 if I hadn't shot up to try to do a 400. My hips did get a little high there. I noticed that right there. So they could have held a little bit lower, and I would have been able to probably do a little bit better on that. I decided, hey, what the hell, I'll go for 400 and see what happens. No harm in trying. And I could not budge the bar. I probably should have gone like 385 or something. But hips shot way too high on that. I could feel that wasn't going to happen. So I wanted to wipe my hands, the chalk off my hands, get the chalk off the bar. And instead of doing this as like a grip exercise, just do it as like a stiff bar deadlift. So I was just going to throw my figure eights on and see if I could pull the 400 off the ground. I feel like if I had maybe a little bit less rep work, I probably would have been able to get that because I could feel it starting to move. But unfortunately just didn't happen today. And yeah, the hips are way too high there. So my back's already parallel to the ground. I need to get better hip activation there. So things were just kind of getting worn out, and it wasn't getting the most ideal position for the pulls. It it is what it is, but this is something nice to do. I'm thinking on Tuesday, it's going to be front squats, deadlifts, and then some dumbbell pressing. And to be honest, I think I'm just going to do dumbbell presses 3 days a week, moving forward, and just do a couple chest exercises to where I can focus on getting ready to get the bench press up and moving. I really, really do want to try to go for a 2-plate bench within the next couple months. That's something that's always been a goal for me. And I definitely want to shoot for it. So I'm going to slowly work on doing that. I don't know how often I'm going to do actual bench press, but the dumbbell pressing is definitely going to lend some help to developing chest muscle to do that. I also need to work on developing my triceps. So I will figure something out there. I know I was doing some stuff in the past, and I just became wholly focused on pushing the deadlift once that started moving as fast as it did with the trap bar deadlift. So, as things are winding down more with the deadlifts, I'm kind of at that end stage with the 500-pound goal. I'm going to take a break with like pushing that for a little bit. I just need to decide if I want to focus on pushing my bench press, an extra 10 pounds to hit the 225. But to be honest, I could push all the way to 250 and hit that kind of like ultimate goal that I've had more recently of, I think I would probably max out around 250, and be able to do that like maybe once in a blue moon, or push my squat and hit 400. That I might be able to do now. I'm not entirely sure. It just depends on, I getting back in the shape with doing heavy singles on squats and just being able to push that more and more routinely. So I think for now, though, I'm definitely going to go with doing a bit more bench just because that's close, and I want to really kind of build my chest up a little bit. My legs are been pretty beat up the past year or so. So yeah, I'll do some thinking on it and see how I want to approach building up bench a little bit.